1998. A red Kenworth W900 rolls off the dealer lot in Renton, Washington. The trucker pays $76,000 cash. Big inline 6 Cummins under the hood. No computer. No emissions filter. No diesel exhaust fluid tank. Just steel, oil, and a million-mile reputation that the trucking industry had taken 15 years to earn. 28 years later, that same truck just sold at auction for $92,000. $20,000 more than what it cost new. The buyer was not a collector. He was a 38-year-old trucker from Texas who already runs 3 rigs. He walked past the brand new Kenworth W990 on the showroom floor with the $900,000 sticker price. He laughed, and he paid cash for the old one. The truckers who actually drive for a living already figured this out. The dealers selling new trucks haven't. And the gap between those two groups is the entire reason this video exists. That trucker from Texas runs a small fleet in the Permian Basin, hauling sand and water for oil field work. His old Kenworth has been to Houston, El Paso, Bakersfield, and back about 3 times a year for the last 6 years. He says the math on the old Kenworth makes the new one look insane. If you drive a working rig and you care about what actually lasts a million miles, subscribe. The channel stays on the trucks, the engines, and the regulations that quietly killed them. 2007. The Environmental Protection Agency mandated the diesel particulate filter on every heavy-duty diesel truck sold new in America. The mandate was technically a particulate matter emission limit. The practical effect was that every Class 8 truck manufacturer in the country had to install a soot trap in the exhaust system. Kenworth, Peterbilt, Freightliner, Western Star, Mack, Volvo. All of them. The cost added between $4,000 and $7,000 to the sticker price of a new truck. The reliability impact was worse than the cost. The diesel particulate filter, called the DPF for short, has to burn off the trapped soot in a process called regeneration. The truck has to be driving hard enough, long enough, and at high enough exhaust temperature for the regen cycle to clean the filter. Stop and go work breaks the regen. Idling breaks the regen. Cold weather breaks the regen. When the regen fails, the filter clogs. When the filter clogs, the truck goes into limp mode. When the truck goes into limp mode, the trucker calls the dealer. The replacement cost runs $4,000 to $7,000 per filter, and every Class 8 truck has at least one. 3 years later, in 2010, the EPA added the diesel exhaust fluid mandate. Now, every new diesel truck had to inject a urea-based fluid into the exhaust to break down nitrogen oxides. The fluid tank, called the DEF tank, crystallizes in cold weather. The DEF sensors fail at high mileage. The DEF dosing module costs another $1,200 when it goes. The same year, exhaust gas recirculation systems became standard equipment. EGR for short. The EGR system cools and recirculates exhaust back into the intake to lower combustion temperatures. The EGR cooler is built from thin-walled steel that cracks under thermal cycling. When the EGR cooler cracks, coolant enters the combustion chamber. That destroys the engine. 3 regulatory rollouts. 3 new failure modes. 3 new repair costs that did not exist on pre-2007 trucks. Kenworth, to its credit, fought the rollouts harder than most. The Kenworth W900L kept being built with the pre-emissions inline 6 Cummins through the end of 2006. After that, the same Kenworth W900 chassis came with the post-EPA Cummins, with all 3 emission systems bolted on. Same body, different engine, completely different reliability story. Working truckers noticed within a year. The pre-2007 Kenworth W900s kept running. The post-2007 Kenworth W900s spent more time in the shop. By 2012, owner-operators had figured out exactly where the cutoff was. Anything built before 2007 was the truck you wanted. Anything built after 2007 was the truck the EPA wanted you to want. Those are not the same trucks. They never were. Here is what the numbers look like in 2026. A clean 1998 Kenworth W900 with a pre-emissions inline 6 Cummins and verified mileage between 600,000 and 1 million miles, sold at Mecum Spring 2026, Auction in Indianapolis for $92,000. Meckham's last 3 sales of comparable Kenworth W900s from the same era cleared between $78,000 and $95,000. The depreciation curve on these trucks is not flat. It is going up. 40% appreciation in the last 3 years on clean examples with documented service history. Compare that to the new truck. A 2026 Kenworth W990 with all the modern emissions equipment, full sleeper, and the top-tier interior package carries a sticker price of $900,000 when you spec it the way an owner-operator would actually spec it. The dealer will discount that to about $850,000 if you bring cash and a trade. The 5-year depreciation projection on that truck is 45%. The pre-emissions W900 from 1998 has done the opposite. It has gained value while the new truck loses it. The math gets worse for the new truck when you look at maintenance. A pre-emissions Cummins inline 6 runs about $1,500 a year in routine maintenance for an owner-operator running 400,000 miles a year. Oil changes, filters, brakes, basic preventive work. The post-2007 equivalent runs between $8,000 and $12,000 a year because of the emissions system maintenance. DPF cleanings every 50,000 miles. DEF sensor replacements every 200,000. EGR cooler replacements every 400,000. Compounding interest on a problem that did not exist on the old truck. Larry Bonifay is a 58-year-old owner-operator from Ocala, Florida. He bought a 1995 Kenworth W900 with a Cummins N14 and an 18-speed manual transmission in 2015 for $32,000. He has put 450,000 miles on it since. He has rebuilt the top end once. He has replaced the clutch twice. He has not had a single emissions-related shop visit because the truck does not have an emissions system. He pulls a 36-foot drop deck across the southeast for an aggregate hauler. His total cost of ownership over those 10 years, including the purchase price, is about 95 cents per mile. The newest Kenworth on his neighbor's lot runs about $1.75 per mile, fully loaded with finance and maintenance. Bonifay says he will be driving his 1995 Kenworth the day they bury him. If this breakdown is useful, subscribe. We work through one truck, one engine, one regulation at a time. The next video covers what changed in the Cummins 12-valve specifically, and why those engines are the foundation of every story on this channel. The auction houses tell the same story Bonifay is telling. Ritchie Brothers reported in their 2025 Commercial Truck Quarterly that pre-2007 Class 8 trucks have moved from 12% of total volume to 27% of total volume in 3 years. The pre-emission inventory is shrinking because demand keeps climbing. Iron Planet's listings page for pre-2007 Kenworth W900s typically sells units within 48 hours. Post-2007, Kenworth W900s sit for an average of 41 days. The market is voting with cash, and the market is voting for the old truck. Here is the part the new truck dealers do not want broadcast. Kenworth dealers all over the country are quietly searching their own trade-in inventory for any pre-2007 W900 that came in on trade and never got resold. They are not selling those trucks back to retail buyers. They are flipping them to fleet operators and wholesalers at the same elevated prices the auction houses are setting. The new truck inventory on their lots sits for months. The old truck inventory in their backyard moves in days. The dealers know exactly what their customers actually want. They just cannot sell it directly without admitting the new trucks are not as good as the old ones. The parts supply for pre-emissions Cummins is the second part that surprises people. You would think a 30-year-old engine would be getting harder to maintain. The opposite is happening. Cummins still manufactures complete reman cores for the inline 6 pre-2007 engines. Bosch still rebuilds the inline injection pumps that run in the older Cummins cores. The aftermarket suppliers, BD Power, Stanadyne, Garrett, all of them have kept making parts for the pre-emissions Cummins because demand never died. The aftermarket actually has more parts available today than it did in 2005. The mechanic side is the third compounding factor. Diesel mechanics who learned on pre-2007 trucks command a labor rate premium of about 30 to 40% over mechanics who only know post-emissions diesels. A diesel mechanic in Dallas, Texas, who can rebuild a Cummins N14 by field charges $175 an hour. The same mechanic working on a post-2007 Cummins with the full emissions package charges $125. The work is harder on the old engine in raw labor terms. The pay is higher because the trucks are more valuable and the customers are more discerning. The mechanic shortage for pre-emissions diesel is real. Vocational schools stopped teaching mechanical injection in 2010 because the manufacturers told them nobody would need it. They were wrong. The glider kit era from 2012 through 2017 tried to thread the needle by combining pre-2007 engines with new truck chassis. The EPA shut that loophole down in 2018. After the glider kit ban, the only way to legally own a pre-emissions Class 8 diesel was to buy a pre-emissions Class 8 diesel that already existed. The supply became fixed. The demand kept growing. The math is what it is. The phrase you hear at every truck stop diner from owner-operators over 45 is some version of this. They do not build them like they used to. That phrase is usually said with regret. Working truckers say it with calculation. Because if the manufacturers do not build them like they used to, the ones that already exist become more valuable every year they keep running. That is not nostalgia talking. That is asset appreciation in a market with shrinking supply and growing demand. The math has not been wrong in 20 years. The Kenworth W900 from 1998 is not just a truck. It is the last generation of equipment a working trucker could buy, drive 1,000,000 miles, fix in his own driveway, and resell for more than he paid. That combination, buy it, work it, fix it, sell it for more, does not exist anywhere else in modern industrial America. The 30-year-old Kenworth in that trucker's yard in Texas is not a hobby vehicle. It is a working financial instrument. The auction prices prove it. The mechanic labor rates prove it. The parts supply trends prove it. The dealer inventory data proves it. The trucking industry will keep building new trucks. The EPA will keep mandating new emissions equipment. The cycle that started in 2007 is not getting reversed. What that means for the pre-2007 Kenworth W900 is that the inventory is fixed forever and the demand is going to keep climbing for at least another decade. Working owner-operators will keep buying them. Smart fleet managers will keep buying them. The trucks that are still on the road will keep getting older, and the prices will keep going up. If you are running a pre-2007 Kenworth today, drop the year and the engine in the comments. I want to read every one. The dealers who do not understand this market are going to keep losing units to the auction houses. The truckers who do understand it are going to keep stacking value into trucks the regulators told them they were not supposed to want. Subscribe for the next breakdown. We stay on the diesel, the durability, and the specific year someone decided you did not need a real truck.